2024 regular season is finally here. We get you set for the Oilers and the Avalanche on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live on location here at Hudson's White Avenue. I see Katie, I see Brienne, I see Mo, I see Zach to come, and I see Jasmine's two tables that are reserved for 7 p.m. And we are ready to go for game number 82. Join the conversation. As always, hit us up on the text line, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat on YouTube. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev, Matt Kassian with you. Ryan Bolding from NHL.com covering the Colorado Avalanche will be joining us in about 13 minutes time. Yes, indeed. The 49, 26, and 6 Oilers taking on the 49, 25 and 7 Colorado Avalanche. We don't know what the Oilers lineup is going to look like exactly. We will pass along the details when they hit the ice for warm-up. We fully expect to see Sam Gagner back in action in orange and blue tonight, as well as Adam Ernie. Philip Broberg will likely play again. Troy Stecher will probably play again. And it should be hopefully not Sam Gagner's last game as a member of the Oilers. Who knows? Maybe he gets into a game in the postseason. Maybe he says, I'm not done. I am not done. But we shall see. YouTube Trev, what's going on? You're holding things down back at ESTHQ. You're doing all right?
Everything's going swell, Tommy. It's
Show me.
Yeah, it's a good night. It's a good night. Can you see me? We're all good.
There you are.
Yeah, buddy. It's
hello.
It's good. I'm excited. It's the last game of the season. The season's kind of just flown by for me, not so much for you, but yeah, it's been awesome. I'm excited to just get past this. You know, it's been 2 weeks now. We've been kind of talking. You know, let's get to playoffs, and that's kind of where I've been at. My mindset's like this last few weeks. It's like there's not much the team I think is really going to learn. No. You know, maybe I'm in the minority in saying that, but I think they're focused on the playoffs, and you know, after tonight it starts. I mean, tonight's the last game, and then there we go. It's playoffs, baby. So I'm pumped. I know the Nasties are pumped. It's going to be sick, and here's hoping it's going to be a very fun, long postseason for the Edmonton Oilers.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Yeah, I love that.
I have my toys here, and I finally learned how to use these hot buttons like you did and like we set up back at the studios. But, yeah, I'm just having some fun with it. But, yeah, it should be a good game. Two good teams. I know the give-a-you-know-what factor certainly wasn't there yesterday in Tempe, Arizona for the last time. It was the Coyotes goodbye to the desert on their way to Utah. That was made formal today in a press conference. Ryan Smith, the owner of the Utah Jazz, and his wife have purchased the team, or in the process of finalizing the purchase for the team, hockey ops and all of that. And the Coyotes name, licensing, all of that history will stay in Arizona under Alex Morello for now. He has a 5-year window to get a team back in AZ. Morello and Bettman will have a press conference tomorrow in the morning. And today it was all about Utah. I'll have to ask Ryan Bolding when he gets on if this automatically becomes Colorado's new rival. They're literally the next state over. They're not far in distance. I know maybe it takes a while to drive there, but like they're right next door to one another. It's not exactly Vancouver-Seattle proximity. I don't know if it's similar to Edmonton-Calgary proximity, but certainly they are right there, next-door neighbors when the Utah team. The other weird thing about this Utah announcement today was they didn't give them a nickname, and they said there's no rush to give them a nickname. And I think it was LeBron was talking about the possibility of there not being a Utah nickname next season. I think that is ridiculous. They need to figure their you-know-what out and get a name. You can't go in there and do a football club like I know the Washington Football Club did and the Elks briefly did as they've transitioned from Eskimos to Elks. Just pick a damn name. Yetis, Black Bears, who gives a you-know-what? Sam Squanches, just pick one, get a cool logo, and let's go.
Yeah.
Don't mess around with this.
I completely agree with you, Tommy, and it's interesting. One of our insiders that we have on usually our Wednesday show, Greg Wyshynski, today, he tweeted, on Tuesday, applications were filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for trademarks on the following names: Utah Blizzard, the Utah Venom, Utah Fury, the Utah HC, and the Utah Hockey Club. So, as you were kind of suggesting, kind of the last ones are pretty gross.
We can throw out HC and Hockey Club. We can probably throw out Fury because that sounds like a minor league team. Blizzard,
I like the Yetis.
Venom, maybe. The Yetis, I know, but you know what? Seattle embraced Kraken.
Yeah.
It's working. It's great. They've done an excellent job with the branding of it. People have bought in. The logo is beautiful. It ties into the history of the Metropolitans. The Winter Classic jerseys that they wore were fantastic. Just pick a damn name and let's go. And it better not be HC or Fury. That is ridiculous. So those are pretty meh. I would go with Blizzard, I guess.
Yeah, like Blizzard,
Venom.
Blizzard's like, the Blizzard are coming at you. I don't know. Like, there's nothing too scary. Well,
no.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too big on any of these names, but
they're not great.
No, they aren't. But here's hoping they get their crap together, figure out a name, and let's go.
All right. Text us 780-218-9999. Team name suggestions for the Utah HC. It will be called Utah at the front of it. Part of that is they want to get a new arena, and if they're going to get some state funding or the state's going to kick in, the name has to be Utah and not just Salt Lake City. And the Jazz, obviously, under the same ownership banner, would move with the hockey team to the new facility. The arena that they're playing in now was built in 1990. And then if you're going, hey, Tom, what about that one that they used at the Olympics? I hear you, but that one only seats 13,000. So they want to get a new district downtown in Salt Lake City, and that's how they want to go about it. So be it. They're going to have to retrofit and wedge in hockey for the next few years in the downtown arena down in Salt Lake City. All right, let's go to a couple of texts. Jimbo's getting in early on the action. Says, looking forward to the start of the playoffs, but wanted to say thanks for providing everyone with great Oilers-related content so regularly and with such quality during the entire season. LFG. Jimbo, a big time thank you. We appreciate it. It was a scramble to get this station going, but one thing we said from the outset when we had our first meeting is, okay, what shows are we going to have? Nielsen show for sure. We knew that the VIP golf show with Murray McCourt would be coming back. Myself and Belzy wanted to make sure that Hello Hockey had a home, so we brought that in and we said, hey, the Oil Stream or the Oilers pre and post game show, which we named the Oil Stream and tied it into Oil Stream from the old podcast, turned it into a full length show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we said, why don't we put it under that banner to tie it all in? And that has worked out nicely, but it's the same content and then some that we had at the old station, and we're bringing it to you, and we are privileged and honored to do so. So big thank you, Jimbo, for that. And it's just going to continue to get bigger, better, and we are eager to see what happens in Season 2. But before we get there, let's go finish up this regular season, and let's see what happens in the playoffs. Hopefully we're talking about a long playoff run for the Orange and Blue. And by the way, I went casual tonight because for the next foreseeable future, I don't know how many weeks, suits basically every day. And as much as I love dressing up in a suit at a bar, tonight was a night where I was like, I'm just going cash for the last game of the regular season. Donnie says, hey, thanks for the Nugent Hopkins stats today. 39 points, 49 playoff games is better. And he hopes that RNH is better in the postseason this year. Yeah, so he puts up his points, but the effectiveness of his 5-on-5 play last year wasn't particularly great in the playoffs, but the year before he had a good postseason, and I think the year in the shortened season it wasn't the best. The run the year before last was pretty good for Nugent Hopkins in the playoffs. Anyway, he does have 39 points in 49 playoff games. Let's get to some lineup stuff. We're going to go to the Avs lineup because we do know that the Oilers are going to tweak their lineup. Obviously did not hold a morning skate. Chris Noblock is speaking to the media or just spoke to the media, and we'll get that for you ASAP. We do have Ryan Boulding joining us in a few minutes' time. So for the Avs, here's what we're anticipating tonight. Nathan McKinnon between Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen. Casey Middlestat centering Arturi Lehkonen and Valerie Nichushkin. Ross Colton between Miles Wood and Zach Parise. Yakov Trenin centering Andrew Cogliano and Brandon Duhaime. For the Avs on the back end tonight, Devon Toews with Cale Makar. Sean Walker paired up with Josh Manson. Jack Johnson with former Oiler Caleb Jones. Out for the Avalanche, Samuel Girard, day-to-day concussion. Logan O'Connor, IR hip. Pavel Francouz, IR groin. And Gabriel Landeskog, IR knee. And it looks like Joel Kiviranta will be the odd man out as a healthy scratch for Colorado. Starting goalies, we anticipate, after Calvin Pickard got the nod yesterday in a losing cause against the Coyotes, that tonight it will be 25-year-old Stu Skinner, 36-15-5, 257 goals against average, 907 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 58 games this season. Skinner versus the Avalanche, 2-0-2 record, 218 goals against average, 944 save percentage in those 4 appearances versus Colorado over the course of his career. As for the Avalanche, 24-year-old Justus Anunen, 7-4-1 this season, 235 goals against average, 925 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 13 games this year. He will face Edmonton for the first time in his career. All right, it is the Oil Stream pregame show brought to you by GCL Diesel, Edmonton's diesel fuel systems specialists and providers of critical engine components for over 50 years. If you're just joining us and watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up on your way in. We appreciate that very much. Get in on the nasty chat if you want to join the conversation. And then if you're listening via iHeartRadio or TuneIn or just on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can text us 780-218-9999. I'm going to throw the question of the night out there. Trev's going to answer it first. Then we're going to get to Ryan Bolding. Question of the night is this: what's your favorite moment of the Oilers' regular season? 780-218-9999, or get at us in the nasty chat. So, Trev, without further ado, what was your favorite moment from the regular season for the Oilers this year?
Well, Tommy, I can honestly say that this was probably the coolest season. Albeit the start wasn't fun, but, I got a lot of personal reasons why this season was so cool. Obviously, joining the station, working with you guys. So that factor, I love that. That was one of the favorite parts of the season. And I know it's not really Oilers related, but it kind of is. But as for the Oilers, I thought the Heritage Classic was sick, being able to watch the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames. That was really cool. And a huge shout out to Evan Bouchard. I thought that was a pretty cool story. 80-point player. First time since Paul Coffey that the Oilers have had a defenseman reach those many or that high of a season in points. So that's really cool. But it's got to be the 16-game winning streak for me. I don't think I'll ever. I mean, it might happen, but I doubt it. Right? Those don't come often, and it was cool, man. I've never, watching the Decade of Darkness growing up, it was like, I remember when the Oilers would win 4 games in a row. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I just watched the Oilers win 4 games in a row, and then 4 games. It was like 5 games, and then it was 10, and it wasn't just the talk of Edmonton. It was the talk of the whole NHL. And if it wasn't for that, would they be in the position that they are right now? Probably not, Tommy. So
probably not.
It was that was really cool. But there's so many amazing headlines, as well as Connor McDavid with reaching 100 apples, which was super cool. But I think for me personally, man, it was that 16 game. It was and Box Pounders in on the nasty chat. It was super cool. I don't know if I'll ever see that again. So that's going to be my answer, Tommy.
Hey, good answer. 16-game winning streak ties Columbus for second most in NHL history, one back of the Pittsburgh Penguins 92-93 season, I believe it was. So a great feat by the Oilers this year. Question of the night one more time. What's your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? 780-218-9999. Text us. Or if you're watching on YouTube, get at us in the nasty chat. I'm just going to say I really love the Heritage Classic. It wasn't a good time of the season for the Oilers. They were obviously struggling, but the Heritage Classic was really well done. It was nice to see the city turn out. Great weekend weather-wise. They beat the Calgary Flames. That's always good. The province always implodes when these two teams, or the Oilers and Flames, get together. And I thought that was just a great weekend during a bad time for the team. And then obviously they had the coaching change, and two good men lost their jobs. And after that, Chris Noblock came in, and there was an 8-game winning streak, and then the 16-game winning streak that YouTube Trev alluded to. So let us know your thoughts on the favorite moment of the regular season for you when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers. 780-218-9999. You can text us. And then if you're watching, hit us up in the nasty chat. I saw T. Willison get in there, said that he ran into another random Oilers fan in town this evening. Who knew there were more than one in southeastern Illinois? T. Willison, well done, buddy. Well done, representing in Southeast Illinois. Rip City Step says, casual Tommy on white. Yeah, it's going to be nothing but suits for the next few weeks down through the postseason. Speaking of where we're at tonight, down on location, Hudson's White Avenue. Come join us. It is our listener watch party. Already some nasties joining us here for the Oil Stream pregame show presented by GCL Diesel. All right, we're going to get to Ryan Boulding right away here. But first, I need to mention that portions of this hour brought to you by 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. Catch Dustin Nielsen with Yukon Jack and Scott McCord weekday mornings. And tune into Jess Jackson on your way home from work every afternoon. All right, Trev, let's bring him in. Ryan Boulding, NHL.com, covering the Avalanche as we get set for the Oilers and the Avs one final time this regular season. And who knows, maybe they connect in the postseason like they did 2 years ago in the Western Conference Final. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that very much. We'll get into the Avs. We'll get into the Oilers and Avalanche and the playoffs and all that good stuff. But the news du jour is the Utah team finally being made publicly official by the National Hockey League, and Ryan Smith and his wife being presented as the new owners of the franchise. So I wondered aloud, will this now become Colorado's main rival just due to proximity, or no?
I think so. I think the proximity, like you mentioned, makes this a really lucrative matchup for both teams. You know, the regional proximity, it'll be interesting to see what happens with TV deals and, broadcast deals for this. But it's a quick flight. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. It's an 8-hour drive. I mean, it's closer to drive than Phoenix. So, it makes what appears to be an interesting matchup. I think the league should make it an Avalanche and Utah opening night game at home there. I think that would be real big in helping drive something like that.
Speaking of driving, I've driven through Salt Lake City, stayed there a couple of times, just brief overnight on my way to Phoenix, ironically enough, for golf trips, many, many times, year after year after year in the last decade or so. I don't have a good sense of what Salt Lake City is. I take it's quite quiet. I know religion's a big thing there, but I don't know. Have you spent a lot of time in Salt Lake City? Is this going to be a sneaky good NHL town?
I can't say that I remember the last time I was in Salt Lake City. I went through it in the winter, and if you've driven on that interstate in the winter, it can be scary. Yeah, so
the worst.
That's all I remember of Salt Lake City, but I'm a big fan of Utah. I like to go out to Moab, which is closer to Colorado, and camp and hike and play out there. Beautiful state. I think it will be very interesting to see what happens. I have an internet acquaintance, I'll say, that's a big Capitals fan, and he just messaged me that he put his deposit down for season tickets. So there is a fervor there. I think I saw that they had 6,000 season ticket orders already, which is great to see. I mean, they've been open for a couple hours, so.
That is insane. And I mean, 6,000 season seat deposits, keep in mind,
yes,
is a lot better than, quote unquote, 4,600 showing up at Mullet Arena for the last 2 years. All right, Ryan Boulding joining us now, NHL.com, covering the Colorado Avalanche. It is the Oilers and the Avs tonight to close out the regular season. Ryan, these Avs, just 3 wins in their last 10 games. Are they kind of in cruise control to head into the postseason, or are there genuine concerns? How would you describe this last little stretch as they close out the year?
Yeah, I think it's 50-50 both ways. I thought about asking Jared Bednar about this today, and the topic kind of strayed, and then I think it would have been weird to go back to it. But I do think mentally there's probably an element of this team looking forward to playoffs. Guys love to say, oh, down the stretch, I love playing hockey down the stretch. But it's not true. They
No.
grind all season long, and they want to be in the postseason where it counts. So I do think there's an element of that. I think, you've got guys like Val Nichushkin, who hasn't really done much since he came back from the player assistance program. One of the guys who is playing tonight, the Avalanche aren't resting anyone. And according to Jared Bednar, it was a player decision. But when asked about Nichushkin specifically, he said he's one of the guys who will be playing tonight. They want to get some guys going entering the postseason. I know that they want goaltending to be kind of figured out and in a good place, and that's been one of the big weaknesses here lately. So I do think there's an element of the guys are taking this game seriously, but the caveat being they're ready to move on.
Yeah, I think everybody is, especially up here in Edmonton. However, there's this last game. I don't think that Colorado is looking at this game as a litmus test by any means. Would it be?
Not really. Bednar did say today that he thinks Edmonton plays a similar style to Winnipeg, who the Avs will be playing in the first round. So I guess in that sense, I think really what they're going to want to do is execute a game plan that would be tailored toward the Winnipeg Jets and see if they can do that successfully. You're obviously going to have to adjust for the Oilers, but with no morning skate today after the game last night, I mean, we assume that Edmonton's going to rest some guys, but we don't really know what the situation's going to be.
I've got an update for you. Funny you mentioned that. As I was listening to you give us the breakdown, we got a tweet from our dear friend Bob Stauffer, a good friend of Edmonton Sports Talk, says Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, Evander Kane, Evan Bouchard, and Matthias Ekholm will not be in the lineup.
There you go.
We're going to see an influx of Bakersfield Condors and guys who generally are healthy scratches. So Edmonton just wants to get through this one a little bit healthier. Ryan Bolding joining us now from NHL.com. You mentioned the Winnipeg Jets series, and I know that the Jets swept the Avs. There was that 7-0 drubbing the other day. I go, okay, that's great. And I know people in Winnipeg, rightly so, very excited about that and go, geez, we've got the Avalanche number. However, the Oilers had Winnipeg's number a few years ago, and the Jets went and swept Edmonton.
Yeah.
And then we saw the Oilers have dominance over teams. They had a great run against it was Vegas, and Vegas took care of business against the Oilers last year en route to the Stanley Cup. So how do you look at this matchup between the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche?
Yeah, I think the Avalanche are really hard to predict, and I think Winnipeg is just a wagon right now. They're just running on, elite performance. Rick Bowness has got them performing at their utmost. You've got guys who are maybe cooled off a little bit. The last couple of weeks have been hot. Kyle Connor, one of those guys. It's a team that I think is as good as they've been, and this is a team that we've been waiting to see for a while.
Yeah.
Every year.
Oh, we lost Ryan Bolding. We'll get him back shortly. He is from NHL.com. We'll get there he is. He's good to go. Oh, you're back. All right, Ryan. Continue.
Yeah, I think it makes Winnipeg has the goaltending. I think that's the you could check that box for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuyck is very good, and he's having a great year, while the Avs goalie situation is in flux. I think we're all in agreement out here. It's going to be Georgiev for game 1. Probably game 2, regardless. But if those are losses or shaky games, you might lose the crease there. And then the X factor is really, Nathan McKinnon. Right. He's a guy that can blow the game wide open when given the chance. So can they contain him and the rest of the Avalanche lineup? If you have a guy like Nichushkin who isn't scoring or really contributing like he is right now, I mean, that really hurts the Avalanche lineup. So I think you're going to see some interesting line combinations as Bednar tries to get guys going, but that's what we're looking at. As far as predicting the series, I think it's going to be really hard to say. I could imagine this one goes the distance and is just a bit of a slog at times.
I think that's going to be a lot of the series in the West. I think we're in for some just tremendous hockey for sure. Hey, Ryan, I'll have to ask you this, because when you're down at the rink, you're covering practice, game days, the morning skates, all that. Are they still hiding Gabriel Landeskog? What's the situation there? Because it just, somebody brought it up the other day on one of our morning shows and was like, what's up with Landeskog? We just really, I don't know if I just lost track or we haven't heard. What's the situation? It's like He's like a ninja almost.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like there's the hardcore people who pay attention to all the news, and then everyone else who is like, I haven't heard about him in a long time.
Yeah.
He has been spotted at prior to practices on the ice. He was at a practice this week and left when practice actually got going. It seemed like he was skating gingerly but deliberately, whereas last year he wasn't turning on his right leg. He wasn't stopping on his right leg. He was doing some circles, gliding real hard on each leg, in particular his right leg. I watched him stop on his right leg. They've said for a long time he was looking at least a year after his surgery. That puts it around mid-May. And then if he would be cleared to play, he needs to ramp up to be in some sort of playoff physical shape. So it's hard to predict whether he could make an actual playoff return or not. I've only seen that most recent skate, and it wasn't him going hard. So you can't definitively say there's no way he makes it or he's ready, because what he was doing, like I said, was deliberate. So I think you're a couple weeks out, a month out from any sort of potential, swinging of the meter either way. And Navs would have to make it that far for it to be relevant.
Man, he would have such an impact. I know at full health, certainly, but that's been a tough go the last couple of years for Gabriel Landeskog. Ryan Boulding joining us now, NHL.com, covering the Avalanche. Okay, let's talk about something that I think has been a great story. Offense in the National Hockey League. Nate MacKinnon, a monster season. I know Connor McDavid was banged up and was kind of in the mix with Kucherov and McKinnon, but if you're voting for the Hart, and I know you're in Denver and you're covering the Avs, but where does this guy stack up when it comes to the Hart Trophy, and should he be the winner this year?
Yeah, I actually was impressed by the surge that McDavid made after not really being in the conversation early on. Is pretty impressive. For me, I don't get a vote, so it's pretty easy for me to talk about, and I think it's McKinnon's year. I think what he's done, comparatively has been pretty incredible. He's got a lot of even strength points. He's got 41 even strength goals, 91 even strength points. And one of the things that I was talking about watching the game on TNT on Sunday, and Paul Bissonnette was talking about it, and he was comparing guys. Jonathan Drouin is having a career year. He's having a career year here when he signed a cheap contract as a one-off, prove myself, kind of effort, hoping to rekindle some of his career. He's had, mental health struggles and been in the Players Assistance Program. He's having a career year, and he's playing alongside Nathan MacKinnon now. It's where we knew he would end up. I wasn't so sure he would start there. This is a guy that was healthy scratched earlier in the year, So to me, one of the things that MacKinnon has accomplished is carrying these guys into that conversation with him. He's elevating the game with those around.
Oh, we lost Ryan again. We'll get him back really quickly. 780-218-9999. There's Ryan.
Yeah,
there you go. All right, finish that thought. Finish that thought. You're good.
I know a lot of the conversation is like, who does a guy have with him, right? Maybe something that hurts Connor McDavid as he has Leon Draisaitl. Maybe something that hurts Nathan MacKinnon as he has Mikko Rantanen. But like I said, his ability to elevate the game of these guys around him to that degree, to a career year degree, I think deserves some credit. I think that helps him. He has willed this team through some wins for sure and driven them there. And this is a team that has largely this season had to outrace the other team's scoring on it's been shaky goaltending.
Well said. Goaltending, I always look at with the Avs and go, well, they got it done a couple of years ago with Kemper. And they're getting the job done. They have such a good team in front of their goalies. But MacKinnon, if you're wondering how many points he's put up this year, 138, absolutely monster season. All right, Ryan, we're getting set for the Avalanche and the Oilers one last time, game 82 for both clubs. What do you anticipate in what is the most crucial game of the regular season, as I say that completely sarcastically?
I totally get why Edmonton is going to rest guys tonight, but if they win, they would have home ice advantage if these two were to meet in the Western Conference Finals. So it is kind of leaving something on the board. With the Avalanche going with their full lineup, we've wondered if maybe there could be the possibility of a goaltending split. It makes the most sense. Otherwise, Georgiev's looking at 9-ish days without starts. I think it's probably going to be in the Avs' favor with a full lineup.
I'm with you on that one for sure. Hey, Ryan, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. Maybe we'll see you in the conference final.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Ryan Bolting joining us from NHL.com. Appreciate that very, very much as we get you set for this last game of the regular season. Tom Gazzola live on location at Hudson's White Avenue. It is the Oil Stream pregame show presented by GCL Diesel. We're getting more and more nasty showing up. VR Montenegro is here, and others are starting to come in. It's going to be a good vibe. It feels like it's going to be a good Thursday here at Hudson's White Avenue as we say goodbye to the 2023-2024 regular season. Let's go to a couple of texts, then we're going to go inside the Oilers locker room. Coach Mike says, Tommy, in that Winnipeg series, the Jets played totally different game than they did in the regular season. Paul Maurice got the Jets to sit back and not trade chances. Tippett didn't know how to adjust, and the Oilers got swept. That's from Coach Mike. This text in regard to the question of the night, which was, what was your favorite moment of the regular season for the Oilers this year? It says, hands down the winning streak and how quickly things improved for them after the terrible start when it looked like they weren't even going to make the playoffs. Yeah, I agree with that one. That's a good candidate for sure. That's exactly what YouTube Trev said. And question of the night, if you are just joining us, throw it out there. What's your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? 780-218-9999. And, of course, via the Nasty Chat. Taking a look over at the Nasty Chat. What's going on? What's going on? Some chirps. Yes, good chirps. Good chirps. Appreciate that. Tango says, don't care about score. Just no one get hurt. That's the plan, Tango. That is the plan. All right, we do know that there's no McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Hyman, no Kane, no Bouchard, no Ekholm tonight for the Oilers. And without further ado, let's go inside the Oilers locker room and hear from Chris Noblock.
Who's not maybe amongst the sort of, there's a lot of questions around the top end guys, so who's not playing tonight?
Where do I start? Connor's not playing, Leon's not playing, Zach Hyman's not playing, Nugent Hopkins not playing, Eki and Bush are not playing.
Evander Kane's missed the last 2 games. Is he in the lineup tonight?
Evander is not playing also.
Was it easy to have these conversations with them? They kind of understand that it's that time of the year?
Well, that time of the year, but we're also heading into the playoffs, a game where it doesn't mean very much. Obviously, we'd like to win it. I think it'd be really special for us to get 50 wins tonight. But, I think there's a lot more at stake than just hitting 50 wins. We're also hitting the playoffs on coming off quite a few games in April. I don't think anyone's played any more games than we have. We had a 5-8 and had a couple days off, and now we're just in a 6-9. So that much hockey into the playoffs, it's just an opportunity to give guys a little more rest. And we saw it the other night with Darnell and Cece, and now just some other guys. And we could have spread it out a little bit more, but we wanted to keep the top power play unit together, have a little more work yesterday.
With a game like this one, how do you go about empowering these guys to still go out and play hard?
We just encourage the guys to play their game. It's going to obviously, our game's going to look a lot different without the guys, without Leon and Connor and company. But we got to make sure our details are really good and we defend really well, and we want to be everyone playing the way they would be playing in the playoffs.
With all those guys out of the lineup, how much is it an opportunity for other individuals to step up and to be able to kind of showcase what they can do?
Absolutely. We feel we've got players that can play higher in the lineup than they have been. We've got a lot of good hockey players, and this is an opportunity for them to do it. I think it's really important that they play to their identity and not trying to play as Connor or Leon would. And absolutely, I think that we've got a lot of guys that can step up.
All right, that was Oilers head coach Chris Noblock confirming that the big dogs are out tonight. No McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Hyman, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Kane, no Ekholm, no Bouchard. So expect to see Sam Gagner in action. Could it be his last game as a member of the Edmonton Oilers or in the NHL? Probably a good chance. And I was thinking to myself, well, at least it's going to be against one of his very good friends, Andrew Cogliano, who still plays for the Colorado Avalanche. We're going to also see Adam Ernie in action, Troy Stetcher again, Philip Broberg, who played last night, and Derek Ryan will also get back in action as the Oilers conclude the 23-24 regular season. Keep those texts coming in. 218-99-99, and then via the Nasty Chat, question of the night one more time. What's your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? This text comes in and says, hey, Hyman, 50 goals. And then another text, I'll stack them up from this texter saying, I'm kind of surprised Landeskog didn't give up the seat to McKinnon since he's missed the last 2 years. Made no sense to me. I understand that from an outsider's point of view, but within the locker room, there's probably a reason why that hasn't happened, even temporarily. So interesting. Didn't think of that, but I get it. Team dynamics are different from franchise to franchise, and there's probably a legit reason there, maybe a motivator for Landeskog to try to get healthy, even though it's totally up to his body and the rehabilitation process and all of that, but maybe that factors in. All right, let's go and take a quick look around the National Hockey League. 6 games on the schedule as the season comes to its close and we get set for playoff action. Kicking off Saturday, Eastern Conference gets going. We saw the TV schedule. It's going to be all Eastern teams. I have been told that there's a chance the Winnipeg series might start on Sunday, and it looks as though, as of right now, Edmonton and Vegas or LA, whoever they play, will go Monday, like I've been saying for the last week or so. And then Vancouver's series will also likely start on Monday. We'll probably get confirmation either tonight, maybe early tomorrow on dates, but all indicators point to Monday for the Oilers, like I've been saying for the last week or so, just waiting on final confirmation. It's not 100%. I have been also reminded that there is a chance it could go Sunday, but doesn't sound like that is the case. We'll update you when we find out. All right, let's take a look at those out-of-town scores I was mentioning. Right now, after 2 in Minnesota, Seattle and the Wild tied at 1 in the first period. 3 minutes remaining in Winnipeg. Jets and Canucks tied at 1 as well. You got San Jose visiting Calgary. That game about to get underway at 7 or just after. Then you've got the Oilers visiting the Avs at 7:30. And then the Golden Knights host the Ducks while the Kings get the Hawks. And obviously that does have an impact on the Oilers. Which team will the Oil face? Well, they need to see a win from, let's go through the scenario. I had it earlier. They need to see if the Golden Knights lose and LA wins in regulation, then the Kings obviously go past the Golden Knights, but we'll see. It's still likely a Golden Knights Oilers series. I did have it on my Twitter. Do you have the exact breakdown? I'm looking for it right now, Trev.
I'm sorry. I'm scrambling, Tommy. I knew you were going to call to me, and I'm looking for it right now.
I've got it right here.
Okay, let's go.
I was just buying time. Here are the clinching scenarios for the number 3 seed in the Pacific Division. As per NHL Public Relations, which they tweeted out earlier in the day, Vegas will clinch the number 3 seed in the Pacific Division if they defeat the Ducks in any fashion, or if they get 1 point versus the Ducks and the Kings lose to the Blackhawks in any fashion, or if the Kings lose to the Blackhawks in regulation. Vegas, number 3 seed, locks in Dallas versus LA Kings and Edmonton versus Vegas. So that means for the LA Kings, the Kings will clinch the number 3 seed in the Pacific Division if they defeat the Blackhawks in any fashion and the Golden Knights lose to the Ducks in any fashion, or if they get 1 point versus the Blackhawks and the Golden Knights lose to the Ducks in regulation. So those are the official scenarios to see who the Oilers face in the first round, likely starting on Monday. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. It is the Oil Stream pregame show presented by GCL Diesel, live on location, Hudson's White Avenue. Come on down. It's the listener watch party. Ooh, I've seen some cowgirls are here, Trev. You would like that very much. They look very nice. They look like they're ready to have some fun. They're enjoying some beers. I like that. There's no spritzes. There's no mimosas. There's no, see, Katie?
Let's go. Cowgirls.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. There's some nasty fans. Yes, some EST fans. I love it. I love it. Absolutely tremendous. They came by and said, hello, there's some nasties, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Zacticum's there. A lot of people are showing up, so that's good. Last one of the year, so I'm happy that we got the nasties showing up. And you know what? That's so sick about the nasties. They do show up. Like every game all year, whether it's just on the pre and post, the Nielsen show, everything. So you guys have been tremendous all season long. It's been fun. And if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So nasties show up, and
it's
do. Sick. It's sick.
It is good. Katie and Brienne, very nice to meet them. And they listened to us back in the old days at the other station. And so they've kind of taken their liking over to EST, which is absolutely tremendous. We like to see that. Mo is here as well. And look forward to meeting and seeing a bunch of nasties joining us down on location, Hudson's White Avenue. By the way, we're going to be at Hudson's all playoffs long as they go, as long as the Oilers stay in there. And we will kick things off on Monday, likely, at West Edmonton Mall for games 1 and 2. And then games 3 and 4 will come down here to Hudson's White. I've got a ton of GCs to give away. Should be good. The weather's okay. It's still a little chilly. At least it's not as windy as it was before. There's some 20s that I've got. And I've got some 10s for sure. Buy a beer or two. And come down and say hello. Lovely. Great crew here at Hudson's White Avenue. Sarah, manager, Connor, also the GM, Jason Borley. Big thank you to all of them for having us here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's going to run through the entirety of the postseason. All right, we're going to get Matt Kassian on here right away. In that time in between, let's go to some texts. This one says, hey, Tommy, this lineup tonight rivals the decade of darkness. A little reminder how bad it was before our big cup run, says Juan. Juan's excited for the playoffs. And then this text says, EST better than other place. Other place was great. And you know what? We were forced to adapt on the fly, and we think we've done a decent job, and we're only building this bad boy up. So let's keep it going, and we can't do it without you and our fine sponsors as well. Question of the night one more time. What's your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? Let's see what's going on in the nasty chat. Norman at Combine says, too bad the weather is a bit cool. Wanted to get the RV set up at the seasonal, and Tom is right by the door. It's a bit chilly sitting where he is. Yes, there's a breeze coming in. That's why I'm wearing the jacket. Also, I can smell people ripping darts back here. So if you're on the darts, I can smell it. It wafts in because these open up when it gets nice and warm, but when it's cool, you get the breeze coming in. So hack your darts elsewhere. I would appreciate that. But all good. What else do we have here? It's +3 in Edmonton, if that is to answer your question. Yes, it's a little bit chilly by the door. Norman at Combine has been on location with his lovely wife, Tracy, and he knows that this spot right here, if you go 2 feet over into the next booth and table, it's much, much better because the cool air doesn't waft over that way. I'm just complaining a little bit. I apologize. I'm not that soft. All right. YouTube Trev, what's going on? You seeing anything around the league, or do you want to hit on anything before we get Cass on here?
Yeah, no, I don't know if you brought it up. You might have, but the one thing that was Connor Brown scoring his first goal of the season. Some people in the nasty chat were putting that. I'm like, yeah. You know what? That was a pretty cool night, cool experience. The Oilers fans, they were super pumped for Connor Brown, and I did a video on that because it was a cool moment. So I think that, along with plenty of others, I overlooked the Hyman getting 50 as well. So there's a lot. The nasties have been providing in the nasty chat. There's a lot of good things to like about this season, Tommy.
Lots of great reminders for sure, and the nasties don't forget. All right, 780-218-9999. If you didn't catch it, the Oilers sitting out a ton of regulars. All the big dogs are going to be out for this one. No McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Kane, no Hyman, no Ekholm, and no Bouchard. We will see Sam Gagner, Adam Ernie, Derek Ryan back in action. Troy Stetcher and Philip Broberg will be back in as well. Meanwhile, the Avalanche are going with a rock-solid lineup. For them, it looks like opening night of the playoffs. They will have Nathan McKinnon between Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen, Casey Middlestat with Arturi Lehkonen and Valerie Nichushkin, Ross Colton between Miles Wood and Zach Parise, Yakov Trenin centering Andrew Cogliano and Brandon Duhaime. On defense for Colorado tonight, Devon Taves with Cale Makar, Sean Walker with Josh Manson, Jack Johnson paired up with former Oiler Caleb Jones. Out tonight for the Avalanche, Samuel Girard. Day-to-day with a concussion, Logan O'Connor, IR hip. Pavel Francouz, IR groin. Gabriel Joel Kiviranta, health scratch. In goal tonight, 25-year-old Stu Skinner getting the nod. 36, 15, and 5. 257 goals against average, 907 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 58 games this season. A 2-0-2 record Skinner has versus the Avalanche with a 218 GAA, 944 save percentage in 4 appearances versus Colorado in his career. And then at the other end of the rink, 24-year-old Justus Anonen gets the nod. He is 7-4-1 with a 235 goals against average, 925 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 13 games this season. Justus Anonen will face Edmonton for the first time in his career. How about the Avalanche with probably the goalies with the most fun names to say? Alexander Georgiev and Justus Anonen.
Yeah, those are
Love it.
Those are definitely up there. I have a hard time with Georgiev every now and then. It kind of gets me, but it's kind of up there with why am I drawing a blank right now, Tommy? Buffalo Sabres goalie. We were just Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Yeah.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
That's definitely
Great
up there
name.
as well.
Great name. Yeah, there's some great ones. For sure. 780-218-9999. Text us. Question of the night one more time. What is your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? And get at us in the nasty chat as we await the arrival of Matt Kassian for the final game changers of the regular season. Maddie's ready to go for the playoffs. I'm ready to go for the playoffs. YouTube Trev's ready to go for the playoffs. It is going to be a lot of fun. And I look forward to seeing what the Oilers can manage to do this postseason. We got this one from Coyote Steve. Says, why would you risk McKinnon getting injured? How dumb even getting hit by a shot could be your season. I was thinking about that too, Coyote Steve, but then I thought to myself, you could get hit by a bus crossing the street. You never know. Knock on wood. But I get that thought process, but you just never know. And we saw the Oilers yesterday give maybe a 60 to 65% effort, and nobody was doing too much. Pardon me. And thank you, Matthew Iwanek. And people were a little bit put off by the lack of effort, but you just knew. And talking to Cass, Gager today on the Hangout, they weren't too worried about it. And some people were still pissed. That was an absolute embarrassment. But yeah, I don't read too much into that one. How about you, Trev, after dealing with that one and finally being able to think about it a little bit and decompress on it?
Like with the Coyotes loss?
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting the cast all set up. Yeah, no, I mean it was whatever. Like it's probably for the best. Like I'm gonna look back on that game in what, like 10 years. I'm gonna be like, no, you know what? That's okay that the Arizona Coyotes won. It's our last game ever. I think it's fitting for them. Yeah, like I wasn't. I don't know. Like there are so many people in the nasty chat saying like this is ridiculous. It's like they even talked about it in the post game. They weren't really in it, and I don't think they've been given it 110%. Maybe for the last week, 2 weeks, as soon as they got into the playoffs, Tommy. So it's a write-off game. Their mindset is for the playoffs. They're saving their best hockey for playoffs, and that's all there is to it.
I believe Joaquin Gage used the term, it was a peace treaty game where the Oilers kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, held off in the swan song farewell to Arizona for the Coyotes. All right, Let's get to the big man, Matt Kassian, for Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Remax Realtors in Western Canada. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at DamonBunting Real Estate. Hello, Matt Kassian. That term that Gager used, and I heard you guys talking about it on Two Guys and a Goalie today. For those that might not understand, Gager called it the peace treaty, but why would a team in the NHL kind of agree to go easy, if you will?
Yeah, so no one gets hurt because you both have bigger things you're playing for. It's a nothing game in terms of standings. Now, Nathan McKinnon probably wants to hit the 140-point mark, but really for most people, it's kind of like, well, this doesn't really matter. So yeah. I don't think, and I know Gager talked about guys like quite legitimately getting together and being like, hey, you go easy tonight, we'll go easy tomorrow. Like, let's kind of hash this one out. And I don't think that's happening. At the same time, probably for both teams, it's pretty well understood that it's like, hey, this is not the night to hit someone from behind. Like it's not. You don't want to get hit from behind. You don't want to hit them from behind. You don't want to see that type of tension escalate.
Right.
Now it is hockey, and you never know. All it takes is someone doing one little thing, and all bets could be off. But just like any truce, I guess that's kind of the way it goes. And it may not be that, Tom. It may not be that. But I really think both teams are probably looking at this going, we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to get into an unnecessary measuring contest here where we're just violently assaulting each other on the ice. Like you're trying to get through so that you can play when the games really matter, which is starts right away. So that's kind of where I think both teams' heads will be at.
What was that story you were telling? I know you told the story about you and Gaz when you guys were in the AHL and you guys the 3-3s between Texas and Houston and stuff like that. And then who's it, Bordelot?
Yeah, well, and heavyweights had that, and I think Gaz was a good example of it, just because we fought each other, I think, more than anybody. Like we fought each other a lot, and really it was, and if it was the same thing for him. Like if I went to him and I was like, "Hey, dude, like keep it calm tonight, like keep the boys calm. Like I'm banged up, my shoulder's banged up. I don't want to have to do anything. Like just play hard, but play it clean." And usually there was an attempt at reciprocation. Now there were some guys like, and I would have that actual conversation. Some guys you try to have that conversation with, and it's just not, it doesn't, you try, but it doesn't work. And I use the example of my absolute favorite. And again, I have no idea how he is away from the rink. By all accounts, he could be a fantastic individual. But Francis Lessard,
yes.
I also use the example, he would wear, like he had leather, the chin strap was leather and the ear loops were leather instead of the rubber. So it was tougher to rip him off. So you couldn't get him off. And he cinched it up like as tight as he can. So I always say, and it really was, he had a thick French accent. And I always say it was because his chin strap was too tight. It was like a muzzle. Like you couldn't understand what he was saying ever. And there was one game, it was the third game in a 3-3. I think we played San Antonio in San Antonio. We played someone at home on Saturday, and then we played at home on Sunday. So it was a 3-3. We had San Antonio twice that weekend. I had fought Francis on Friday, and it was Sunday, and I was tired. My body was beat up, and they started, I can't remember who their coach was, but they started Francis Lessard in his line. So the reciprocation was obviously, well, we're going to start my line because you're going to start this guy. I'm going to start too. And so I line up across from him, after the anthem, just refs getting ready. Like everyone's kind of skating around. And I just lean over. I'm like, Frank, and I called him Frank. I was like, Frank, the second you try to run anyone or you do anything today, I'm just going to jump you. And at this point, I would just resorted to jumping him. Like I wouldn't square off with him. I just jump him because he wasn't worth squaring off with like you'd ask him to fight and then you turn around and skate away and he'd jump you. So I'm like, okay, like if that's how it's going to be, I'm just going to jump you when I want to fight. But I told him, Frankie, the second you touch anyone, try to run anyone, breathe on anyone wrong, like, I'm going to fight you or I'm going to jump one of your other guys. So like, let's just not tonight. Okay. Like just don't. That very first shift, he took a run at me and he skates really fast in a straight line. Doesn't turn so well, and it was a rule with him whenever we play San Antonio. Really, whenever he's on the ice and your team has a puck, everyone's just basically yelling heads up the entire time, the whole bench.
Right.
And we're in our zone, the puck got dumped in. I got a pass down low as a winger, like I'd slid low on the left wing side. Then I just heard everyone just heads. So I picked my head up and I saw him coming from a mile away, and I just stepped out of the way, and he just like went by me and hit the wall. But he stuck his leg out, like tried to clip me, and I was just like, okay, Frank. I mean, so I jumped him immediately after. Like it was like he was skating around. I just basically flipped the puck out of his own, went and grabbed him and caught an instigator, I think. But I was just like, come on. So sometimes truces get broken. That happens, but they do happen. Again, using the example of guys that were heavyweights, I think there was a little bit more nuance to it than a whole team. But it does happen, even if it's like something that's unspoken, where it's like, okay, don't do something dumb, and we won't do something dumb. Play to win, sure. Try to make plays, have good habits, but like if you have a chance and it's like questionable to put a guy through the wall, don't put him through the wall. Like just hold up a little bit and we'll do the same. Like that's kind of the truce that we're talking about.
Yeah, I love the description. And actually, in the time you were describing Francis Lessard, I went and watched a couple of your fights against him that are on YouTube. No joke. Not that I didn't believe you, but that thing was cinched right up, and it was the leather.
He Rocky Thompson it too with his helmet, like where most helmets. Like you think there's different degrees of where helmets sit on guys' heads. You have like the Jesse Puljujärvi where it's like no helmet is ever going to fit. And so it's like the top of the helmet, it's like you can see his hairline sticking underneath it because it's just it's just tiny on his head. Yep. You have the kind of normal, which is, just kind of middle of the forehead. And Francis Lessard was down here. It was like at his eyebrows, almost over, like almost hanging over his eyes. And then the way he had his visor too is like he tried to cover up as much of his face as he could. And he was just looking for any advantage he could get. And it's just, no, it's Frank. What a guy. He would, by all rumors, so this is rumors, so I don't know if it's true, but he would take, those pull-up bars you can like put in doors? Yes. Like door frames? He would bring that with him on the road, apparently, so he could do pull-ups in his hotel room.
He did wear that helmet pretty damn low.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so good. All right, Cass, let's get into game changers. I love that trip down memory lane. And we're talking about the peace treaty, quote unquote, that Gager was talking about. So without further ado, here is number one of Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite, as the Oilers and Colorado Avalanche close out the regular season. Cass, numero uno, Scratch City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we have to wait to see what the final looks like for the final lineup looks like for the Edmonton Oilers, but it does look like Kane out, Draisaitl out, Nurse out. Still could see someone else come out too. Like we're still waiting for it here a little bit. I hope Gagne's in, but you're going to have a whole bunch of scratches. Guys going to get some rest. Anyone that has any kind of nagging injury, anything where they're nicked up, and it happens, and you play through it over the course of the year, but there's not really a point tonight. So we're going to see a much different Edmonton Oilers lineup, I would say. And, it really looks like the Colorado Avalanche are going full bore. Jared Bednar talked about giving his guys the option, and they wanted to play. And we could see that too with Connor McDavid, where he probably had the option to say, hey, Connor, you want to play tonight? Or you want to sit out? It's back to back. He probably wanted to play. And coaches will do that to say, hey, you have to make the decision what's best for you here. Connor, just missing some time, probably wanted to continue to be on the ice playing. But we'll still see. There's still a possibility he slides out of the lineup until after warmups. We will know for sure. But yeah, the Colorado Avalanche taking a little bit of a different tack to it. But Tommy, it's a different Oilers lineup. We'll see some of the younger guys get some more opportunity. Dylan Holloway is going to get more opportunity. I'm hoping that Sam Gagner is in the lineup and that he goes and gets a little bit of a shot too. But a different Oilers lineup, some unique and interesting scratches in the game against the Colorado Avalanche.
Yes, Cass, we did get an update not very long ago, and no McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Hyman, no Kane,
there you go,
no Ekholm, no Bouchard. So that means that indeed Gagner gets in. We'll also see Adam Ernie get in, Derek Ryan back in action, as well as Philip Broberg, Troy Stetcher, And we'll see the lines when they hit the ice for warm-up, which is coming up right away here. So, yeah, the scratches galore, Cass. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
On Sam Gagner, I thought about this, too, looking at the Avs roster, and kind of fitting that potentially his last game comes against Andrew Cogliano,
Yep.
and those two are really, really good friends.
Yep, and they could line up across from each other a couple of times tonight too. So yeah, that's kind of fitting. Nice.
So they should
little
fight.
Yeah. Well, I think they're both kind of scrappy guys.
Yeah, they are.
I think Cogliano obviously has got the from an Iron Man standpoint just played and continue to play. And Gags. Not that Cogliano was dirty, but Gags, and we've talked about this before, Gags is a little grease ball out there. Like, people don't realize that he plays kind of dirty. Like, he's not just like he's a super nice human, incredible. But when he's playing, like, he's got a little bit of an edge to him. So who knows? Maybe they do. I kind of doubt they get in a fight, but I don't think Gags has ever been someone to back down from it and getting a little rough and tumble.
I would describe them as two classy men. Yep. They're two classy men, and good and fitting that if this is Sam Gagner's last game, he gets to do it against his very good friend, Andrew Cogliano. All right, that was number one. It was Scratch City. Number two on Game Changers with Matty Kassian. No flamingos.
Nope. If you're blocking a shot, please keep both feet on the ice. There might be some temptation to get out of the way of things today. But for those that don't know, a flamingo is exactly what it sounds like. When someone's going to take a shot, you kind of try to pull your foot up and out of the way, and you end up taking it 9 times out of 10 right off the toes. But really, it's the whole point of this is just be smart. Be smart positionally with where you are. Don't put yourself in any kind of position unnecessarily. So again, I want you to continue to work on good habits. We want to see that. We want to see the guys play and play hard, but just be smart. Don't be stupid. Yeah. Now, it does help not having the big guns in the lineup and not worrying about those guys. But at the end of the day, you still want to be playoff ready here. So just don't put yourself in dumb positions. Don't put yourself in a position to get hit from behind. Like, just again, I don't want you to go out and play overly too cautious, but some caution is warranted, Tom.
Hey, I know last night, we not really jokingly, but we're like, hey, 60 to 65% effort with all those guys who are not playing tonight, and the guys that are in the third, fourth lines probably getting elevated roles. All these Bakersfield Condors getting called up. The Avs rolling out a game one type lineup as well. I expect, Cass, and what would you say to Edmonton trying to respond with a hell of a game, and especially the guys that are playing for the first time in a while, like a Gagner and Ernie, who spent some time in the minors? They probably want to have a good showing and not end up getting embarrassed tonight. Wouldn't they try to go hard, like 110%, for lack of a better term?
Maybe. They might, yeah. Yep, it's possible. Again, Tom, like with Colorado going, they're dressing their guys. They're going to want to be playoff ready. They're going to play hard, but there still is that the Gager peace treaty where it's like, hey, you don't want to get embarrassed. Like, you're still going to try to make plays. You're still going to play, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, is this a puck I need to dive face first to block tonight? Well, no. Now in the playoffs, you do whatever you have to do. Not that guys ever, actually dive face first to block a puck, but just, we'd always would talk about that, for guys, it's like, you sacrifice everything, right? You put everything out there, you lay it all on the line. And it's like, well, I want them to, I think they're going to play hard, Tommy, but they're still going to play smart. I guess I'll just leave it at that.
No, that's a fair way to put it. It is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. We're live on location, Hudson's White Avenue, final watch party of the regular season. Tom Gazzola here. Glue Guy Jay Milton has just gotten here. Zach to come here, as well as Matthew Owanek. And VR Montenegro is here now. Katie and her girlfriend were here. Great to catch up with them. Back in the 1260 days and have joined in the fun over here at EST. So that's great. And I see Jasmine has a couple of tables. And that should be a lot of fun as we wind things down this regular season. All right, Cass said number 1, Scratch City. Goes number 3, Cass, take the pressure off.
Oh, you froze there for a second. Yeah, take the pressure off. What I mean by that is just when you don't have your top guys in the lineup and you're not playing with those guys, there really is no pressure. There is no pressure. There's no pressure from this game. You're not expected to win. You're not expected to dominate. You're not expected. There's not big expectations here for today. And sometimes that can be freeing for guys in the bottom six that are going to play minutes like they're in the top six, and some of the young guys that are going to have an opportunity to play more minutes tonight. It's like there's no pressure today, so just go out and play. Go out and play. Again, don't be foolish in your play. Don't do something stupid out there, but at the same time, just go play. Go play. And for some of the guys like Sam Gagner, absolutely no pressure too. Just go have fun. Just go play, do what you do, and have fun. There's no pressure to this game tonight. You want to win the hockey game. Yep. You want to end the season on a good note. Yep. But you know what? It doesn't matter. So just go play.
Dean Asplin says, should be a better game than last night. Little sad last night in more ways than one. And then let's go into the inbox here. 780-99. This text says Ryan Smith would block a shot with his face. Yes, not on purpose, though. And unfortunately, he took, I think, a Boris Mironov shot, broke his jaw one year. And then, obviously, the Chris Pronger shot in the Stanley Cup final with the dump out of his own zone. That was not pretty. AJ in Montreal says, how can they have such an influx of condors under the cap? Are they putting the league does not give a crap at this point of the season? Wait, say this again. Or does the league not just give a at this point of the season? Cass, they clearly had to find a way to squeeze all those guys in under the cap, right?
Yeah. I'd have to look at it. Clearly they are able to, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. And it's not like they're bringing up guys that have massive contracts and massive contract values. So yeah, obviously they can do it. They I don't know if they'd officially be, some of them emergency recalls. I'd have to look because they didn't really use up many of their call-ups post because you only get a certain amount after the trade deadline. But hey, they clearly can fit them underneath the cap or they wouldn't be here. So I don't know. I haven't even really thought about that.
Clearly they found a way to squeeze them in under the cap. Okay, go to the question of the night. I'm going to throw it out there one more time. 99.99 if you want to text in, of course, via the nasty chat. Cass, I want your thoughts on this one. What's your favorite moment of the Oilers regular season? Go for it.
I got to go with the win streak. If that can be a single moment, I think that was just an awesome run. So seeing them, I think just even that first one, like breaking the Oilers record, that was probably my favorite moment. Just kind of, they had a couple wins after that, but it capped off that horrendous start they had to the season and was just like, they completely turned around. And I know they had a little bit of a run before that, but going on that long run, that was awesome. I think for me, that was my favorite part of it. I love that. That was unreal.
That was a good run for sure. All right, Cass, final couple of things to get to here. Utah formally announced today by the National Hockey League, and Ryan Smith and his wife introduced as owners of the new Utah franchise as the Coyotes are, suspended or will pause or whatever the proper term is. And they'll be the Utah something. He's not committing to a name. Even Pierre LeBrun saying that maybe they don't have a name by the time they hit the ice in the fall. Your take on all of this as it becomes more and more real, and how do you think the NHL with Utah in it will be, and then saying goodbye to Arizona as well?
Yeah, I ultimately think it's a good move for the NHL. Playing at Mullet Arena wasn't tenable for the long term, and who knows when that was going to get sorted out. Now you still need a new arena in Utah, but you're a heck of a lot closer to getting it, and you have a serviceable building you can play in for a couple of years if you need to. That can fit more than 4,000, 5,000 people. So I think it'll be good. I hope they do have a team name and colors and all that stuff. The Utah somethings, the Utah whatchamacallits, the Utah whatchamathingies, whatever they end up being called. I hope it's a cool name. It'll be kind of fun to start to speculate on that. And I do hope, Tom, I know you think there is no way the Coyotes will ever be resurgent in the Arizona area, but I hope they do. I hope they get a building done. I do think it is a market that can sustain it, and that you can have a successful franchise. You just need the right rink in the right location. So it's a sad day for Arizona Coyotes hockey fans, but I think ultimately a good one for the NHL.
Cass, just to clarify, I just don't think that Alex Morello as the owner in Arizona will ever fly.
No, you
said
get
the right owner, and like
I heard
you said,
say it, that they're never ever going to come back.
Okay.
There's never
right.
hockey ever again.
All right.
It's going to be banned. Yeah.
Hold that against me.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate that very much. Okay. There was one other thing on Utah I wanted to ask you, and that is from a player's standpoint, because there was a comment that came from the Board of Governors call. I'll read Dave Pagnotta's tweet. Said Alex Morello was believed to be on the call, reiterated his intent on bringing an NHL team back to Arizona within his 5-year window. Morello can bring on partners and investors for his arena district and or Coyotes 2.0. Some owners are not sure Utah will hold the same weight Vegas and Seattle had when they first started. Some concern over market size, but overall nothing against the sale. Delta Center, like you said, Cass, upgrades are needed and will take place. No long-term decisions on hockey ops staff for Utah. No expansion talk or updates in call beyond Arizona. The key to me, and that's why I want your opinion as a former player, some owners aren't sure Utah will hold the same weight Vegas and Seattle had when they first started. Some concern over market size, but overall nothing against the sale. What would you say about that comment from other Board of Governors?
Well, from a same weight standpoint, I think that's a fair comment because it's so fast. You think about Seattle and you think about Vegas, and you had time to build up. Like you had time, and they I think very, very correctly gave the organizations a lot of time to get everything in place, to market, to get season ticket holders, to go through the process. You had years leading into it, and this is like you got 3 months. And really you need to be up and running in less than a month. Now you're not rebuilding like a whole new hockey ops and new staff and everything. So it's like people are going to, they're going to have the same job, the ones that move. And so you're not having to rebuild that from scratch. But I understand from a fan base standpoint, it's not like people have had a long time to digest this. It's going to be just all of a sudden, boom. So I get that. I don't think, and maybe someone could text in and correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's enough people in that area. Now, I know Salt Lake City in and of itself, like city proper, is not huge, but I know you have a fairly significant, I don't know if you want to call it metro area, but the reason, for example, the reason they're called the Utah Jazz, and probably along with, what you mentioned from a state funding standpoint, that they'll probably be called the Utah something or others.
Yes.
Is that it's not just Salt Lake. It's like you have a lot of locales in the immediate vicinity that I think gets you up to like 1.2 or 1.3 million. I could be off on what that total number of people is.
I'm looking it up here, Cass. Metro is 1.2 million, so that's smaller. Well, that's a little bit bigger than Edmonton Metro.
Yeah.
Edmonton Metro is 1.4 now, but around the general Salt Lake area is upwards of 2.5 million.
Right. And so, okay, I was almost there. So I thought it was like 1.2 in the metro and then surrounding, and then it's more. So if it's up to like 2 million, Tom, that's enough to sustain, and they have shown that they can sustain an NBA team. There's enough people there for that. I don't disparage the size. Now, could that mean challenges and that you have to do a good job of marketing, and that it's important to have a successful team over the next couple of years? Probably. But they are actually decently set up. They got some good young players. They have a ton of draft picks, so they're in build mode. And if they do it right, I think it could work. So I agree with the not having enough lead up time and not being able to market this thing for as long as you'd like to build up the excitement. That to me is real. I don't think I would have concerns about the size of the market.
Last one from. You cross paths with Brad Malone much during your days in the NHL or the AHL?
Not very much. More just when he was around here, playing some games in Edmonton, but not as much.
Yeah, 14 years as a pro. He's calling it a career after the Condors run, however long they go. I just wanted to give a shout out to Bugsy. Yep. Great guy, and I'm sure that Cassie has good hockey bloodlines. Yep. And he's married into a good hockey family, married into the Muller family. So I feel like his future in the game, should he choose to pursue it, will be quite prosperous, no?
Yep, most likely. Yeah, I would assume so. But yeah, good. Again, I don't know him very well, but hey, playing hockey for 14 years, being a pro for that long, it's a pretty amazing accomplishment. So something he certainly should be proud of.
Absolutely. Cass, great work as always, my friend. We'll catch up with you on the post-game show.
Sounds good.
There you go. There's Matt Kassian, our game analyst with Game Changers, breaking down and getting us set for the Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. Last game of the regular season. We're live on location. Hudson's White Avenue starting to get full. There's some Cowgirls here that look like they're probably headed to Cook County. If Dusty Nielsen wasn't on a family vacation, he would probably say, hey, let's all go to Cook County. And Norman Combine and his wife Tracy and Brody's here and the boys. So it's going to be a good time as we get set for the final game of the regular season. Text us 789-99 or get in on the chat if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Of course, the Oil Stream pregame show brought to you as always by GCL Diesel, and great to have them on board. GCL specializes in giving your diesel engines, Hart, a second wind. We test and remanufacture fuel injectors, pumps, and turbos for a wide range of applications, breathing new life into vital components. All right, Trev, let's go into the Avalanche locker room and hear from head coach Jared Bednar.
Coach, last game of the season, obviously there's not much at stake here. You guys plan on sitting anybody, or what's kind of your plan for tonight?
All of our guys are going to play tonight.
How do you approach this game with them? You know, the mentality of it doesn't necessarily matter for standings, but playing the right way to start playoffs.
Well, that's exactly it. Talking about our habits, already talking a little bit about Winnipeg, what, similarities that Edmonton, challenges that they provide. There's some similarities with Winnipeg as well. So dialing in on a few aspects of our game that we feel are going to be important come playoff time, Sunday or Monday. And again, it's about us getting our game in order. We're going to use these last few days in order to do that. We're going to work right until the end to try to be as sharp as we possibly can when we hit playoffs.
Can you touch more on the similarities between Winnipeg and Edmonton?
No.
Okay. Fair.
No.
What about, I think it was 2 days ago when you were talking about the decision to potentially sit players but not wanting to because you didn't want to give them too much rest. Was there any hesitation from players on that?
No, I talked to players. I gave them the option if they wanted to play or sit. And, just like I kind of figured we've had a slow schedule. It's been our slowest schedule of the year, right, last couple of weeks. So guys don't want too much time off in between the games. They understand that we still got some work to do, things that we've been working on in practice that they'd like to try and implement in the game tonight. So, but I did give a handful of players the option to take the rest if they needed it. And keep in mind, we've had 4 or 5 players hurt here over the last 2 weeks that have missed at least a little bit of time, if not what you call significant time, like a week to 10 days. So those guys all want to be in as well. So, yeah, that's what we're going with our regular lineup tonight.
How about Gerard?
No change in Gerard. Yeah, he's still working on his rehab.
As far as, kind of the mentality of the group in the locker room, away from the game, just how are you feeling about where the group's at?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, focused. Yep. We had a couple of good days of practice focusing in on a couple of things that we need to work on, mostly D-zone coverage stuff, our communication on the ice. Just a kind of reset, back to basics, building up our D-zone coverage. And then, worked on some special teams yesterday. So we feel good about where we're at, and the mentality's been good in the locker room.
You mentioned a few times, like, the freedom that you try to give to Nate and Kale and Nico, your best players. Like, when did that trust sort of, take hold? Like, how long did it take for them to play for you before you were like, yes, they can play this way that's maybe a little bit different than the way other...
Yeah, so we talk about different keys with those guys, like just slight variations off of our regular structure, because I think when they dialed in and became really strong defensive players, and they still are working to produce at the level that they're producing at, I think there's some give and take. There's still some non-negotiables in there when it comes to our structure and positions that we got to work to on the ice to be responsible 200-foot players, but they also are making reads at a high level and seeing things before lots of other players do, and have the ability to make plays under certain stressful situations. So I don't think that's anything unique to us, but as they matured as players, last couple of years especially, there's been a little bit more give and take there.
And then I guess whenever you have that 5-man unit together, like, earlier in the year, Sheldon Keefe was like, he did the whole, they're like above, whatever. How much does adding Devon to that group sort of maybe be like the last piece, or like just what he adds to that?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. I mean, you don't do it with 4 guys. Like, you don't have success on the ice with 4 guys doing the right thing and being able to read off each other and the 5th guy not. Like, it takes more than that in order to create offense, especially. It's a 5-man unit of guys in tune with one another and playing off one another and making reads, and all with the ability to make plays. So I think he's a huge part of it.
Manson the other day said something along the lines of home ice advantage. If you have it, it seems like an advantage. If you don't, you just kind of wash it away and say, it's not a disadvantage. Is that kind of how you see it?
No, you have no choice. You're playing to win. Your mindset's got to be that you're capable and willing and able to go and play anywhere, home, away, neutral site, against any opponent. I mean, let's face it. You look at the playoffs and you look at the teams that are in, focusing on the West, and they're all really good teams. I mean, you're talking about teams that have long stretches of winning here over the last couple months, teams that have been good all season long. Every team is deep and has the ability to win. So it's going to be a grind regardless, whether you're playing it doesn't matter who you're playing in the first round. It's going to take a lot to get out of the West.
Is Edmonton starting tonight?
He is.
So it's coming back, Val. The offense hasn't quite been there. Do you feel like he's still kind of getting his legs back under him after missing a few games?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think playing with really strong intentions and committed on the defensive side of it. I think there's been plays we've seen him make in the past under pressure and execution that's been higher than what it is now, but that's why he's playing again tonight.
All right, there was head coach of the Colorado Avalanche, Jared Bednar, talking about his team's final game of the regular season, updating injuries, and saying that he wants his team to go out strong, and he gets his team prepared for the Winnipeg Jets. That series might go Sunday, but we are TBD on all the series. Last I was told about the Oilers, and when they start last night was Monday with a chance for Sunday, but still planning for Monday. So we'll find out probably maybe tonight, even as soon as tomorrow morning, certainly. So there you go. There is Jared Bednar, head coach of the Colorado Avalanche, as his team gets set for the Edmonton Oilers' final game of the regular season. YouTube Trev, get yourself on there. Let's go to a couple of texts here. This one says, no longer having the cap dumping ground of Arizona around. How much will that change trade deadline? Yeah, that's interesting, but there always seems to be a team that winds up becoming a hockey wasteland, but one less in Arizona, and we'll see how teams adjust and won't be able to just leave their mistakes in the desert like they were for a while. All right, Trev, what are you thinking going into this final regular season game?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. One thing, I will like to see, there's not much, meaning to this game. So for players like Philip Broberg, who are still trying to make an impact on the Edmonton Oilers, it's go out there and just play. You're going out there against an NHL team, but there's not going to be really any I'm losing the word.
Implications?
Yeah, there it is. So it's
I got you.
Yeah, I just want him to go out there and if he craps the bet on a play, it's the last game of the season. So play with confidence. He shouldn't get too much backlash, and he shouldn't. It's the last game of the season. So I'm expecting hopefully an effort, good effort from the vets that are going to be in the lineup tonight, the Ernies, the Gagnes, and it'll be an okay game. But I'm going to be keeping in tabs Habs with obviously the other games tonight, because it'll be interesting talking post game. They'll know, they should know, or we should have a better understanding on who they will face in this year's playoffs. So, but that's pretty well all I got for tonight's game, Tommy.
Nicely done, pal. Nicely done. It is the final regular season game for the Edmonton Oilers, facing off against the Colorado Avalanche. No McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Hyman, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Kane, and no Ekholm, and no Bouchard, but Sam Gagner back in action. Will it be his final game in the NHL? And, of course, as a member of the Edmonton Oilers, he's going to take on his good friend Andrew Cogliano, who does play for the Avs. And we'll also see Adam Ernie in action, as well as Troy Stetcher, Philip Broberg, Derek Ryan making his return to the lineup as well. A big thank you to Ryan Bolding from NHL.com covering the Avs for stopping by. We appreciate him for doing so, giving us the scoop on the Colorado Avalanche. And then for Matty Kassian and YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for watching, thanks for listening. If you don't have anything better to do and want to watch the game with us, come on down. Tons of GCs to give away. Hudson's White Avenue. Come on down and say hi. The whole crew here for the listener watch party. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel pregame show. Ciao for now.